Hey, we're joined today with South Central baseball coach Zach Coulter. The Satellites ranked number one this week in the coaches poll. Coach, thanks for joining us. And first off, how are things going for you guys? Obviously, anytime you rank number one in the season, things got to be going pretty good.
Yeah, we have a special group of young men, and I think anytime that you have a special group of young men that buy in and then they hold each other accountable, I think good things tend to happen from there. We have a group that doesn't back down from challenges. They work hard, they're consistent, and really they want the best for each other, which is a special thing to have.
Coach, you guys won the sectional a season ago. How special was that for you guys, and how many of those players did you bring back this year?
Well, we graduated two starters last year, so we brought back most of our production. Last year, we started five freshmen, so they're all sophomores now. I think that allows you to have success with the standpoint of winning a sectional title, but it was nowhere near the goals that this group has for themselves. So we bring back a lot of kind of what I call youthful experience. They're all young, but I mean, everyone across the state, because of that COVID year, everyone outside of the now sophomore class, and then obviously this year's freshman class, everyone lost a year. So, that's something that we battled with, but we worked very hard. We did a lot of fall workouts, more so than a lot of other teams in the area. We focused on still getting a lot of repetition in, and made the best of a bad situation during COVID. We put together a summer program, so it allowed the guys to get out and compete together. And from there, what we see this year is just leadership from last year's juniors. Now we have seven seniors in the program that they're all bought in and committed to leading. And then we have a handful of underclassmen that are great leaders themselves. One of the things that we talk about in our programs, it doesn't matter about your age or your grade. Anyone can be a leader, and leaders look different at times.
Who are some of those guys who have done a good job for you leading this season, either at the plate or in the field or on the mound for you?
Well, and I mean, I think I'll kind of categorize them all a little bit differently. I've got some great guys. I'll lead off with probably one of my kind of the better stories of our program is I have a senior that all his role on the team is he's our bullpen catcher. So he doesn't get into games. He's committed. He shows up with a smile. He works hard. Luke Osborne just does a great job for us. He understands the pitching staff. He understands who we have. He gives us reports on how their warm-ups looked. Is their curveball diving? Is their fastball moving? So he's a guy that has a leadership side of things that may not show up in a box score. So we appreciate that kind of commitment on his end so much. He's very valuable to our program. Then from there, I mean, I've got, I could go through the whole roster really, because like I said, I mean, we challenge these guys to lead differently at different times, and there's no per se, our captains change weekly. We don't have anyone set in stone. But we've got a few seniors that I'll mention. Bryce Glissick, he's been big for us with the bat so far this year. Last year, he's one of the team leaders in home runs. He's a versatile guy, can play first or third, corner, infield. He's also been really good for us up on the mound. So far this year, he's carrying a 1.4 ERA for us. So he's done a really nice job in those environments, and just kind of a good clubhouse leader for us. And then another senior that's done excellent as far as getting on base is our center fielder, Brandon Young. He's carrying a above 500 OBP, so he's getting on base for us at the top of the order. But I think more than anything, he stole 7 bags in one game. He's one of the state leaders in stolen bases. He's got 13 stolen bases through 6 games. which obviously, if you're going to steal that many bags, you've got to be getting on base for that to happen.
Right.
But probably the biggest asset that he's shown us this year is his reads on fly balls. He's been a kind of a lockdown center fielder for us this year, so that's been great to see. Um, Going to a kind of my sophomore class, a guy like Brad Farrell. He's a very talented player for us. He not only flashes with the stick, but he is our number one pitcher as well. And for example, this year, Brad's hitting 450 on the season for us with 7 RBIs. And then on the mound, he's been an absolute beast. He has appeared in 3 games, thrown 13 innings, has a 1-0 record, has only given up 5 hits on the season, 1 earned run, 26 Ks to 8 walks, with a .525 ERA. So he's been a dominating force for us, and he's been in a lot of high leverage situations. He's a guy that we're going to count on in crunch time. Um, Another sophomore that's an absolute bulldog. He'd be our number 2 pitcher. That's Braden Grass. He also throws a lot of innings for us. And the nice thing about Braden is he just has this personality that is contagious. Him and Brad both have kind of a bulldog mentality when it comes to um, just kind of that bringing the energy up type of characteristic, and that's big for us to have. Obviously at all times, but those two specifically do a really nice job for us. I think a couple bright spots from our sophomore class. Um, Zach Hanchar, he's a corner outfielder for us. He stepped in, and last year he was a role player. This year he steps in, he's batting 381 with a 409 on base percentage. But he's leading the team. He's up in the top 3 in the team in hits. And then he's also got 6 RBIs and gets it done on the bases as well. So he's been a great spark plug for us. Then we have another kid, a first baseman, a sophomore, and Tommy Sullivan. He's kind of what I kind of coined as Mr. Consistent. He gets on base a lot for us. He's smart. He works counts. Very aggressive, but very, very intelligent. I would say one of our more intelligent players as far as baseball IQ goes. So he shares that knowledge with all the guys, and that's he'll be the guy that at practice he's sitting there with the coaches and kind of strategizing and kind of doing the what if
Hmm.
situations, and it's always nice to see that. And then another sophomore, he's our second baseman, Gavin Gross. He's been an absolute fantastic bright spot for us this season. I think more than anything, I mean, he's barreling more balls up, being more consistent at the plate. And last year he was a spot player as well. This year he's played every inning for us. So when Farrell's not on the mound, he plays shortstop for us. Their tandem up the middle there has been very, very nice. They turn some really good double plays, quick transitions, good feeds. Just really a group that leads by example. The last guy I'll mention is senior Andrew Wazar. He's our catcher, and he's a tank. I mean, he can take catch him 4 or 5 games in a row without an off day and not say one peep about it. He wants to compete, he wants to play, and I think that attitude breeds excellence to the underclassmen around him.
Joined by South Central baseball coach Zach Coulter, and the Satellites ranked number 1 in Class A in the state of Indiana, 4-2 on the season. Coach, now that you guys have that ranking and have a mix of youth and experience, is that something that you talk much about? Is it obviously it's more how you finished and how you start? How do you guys deal with the expectations?
Yeah, and what's kind of I'll say unique is we started out 4-0. We dropped our last 2 games. And the thing about it is we've played one 1A team this year. That was a conference game. We won 16-2 over a decent Morgan Township squad. I think where we kind of find out who we are is our identity is we're not worried about the expectations of number 1. As far as I'm concerned, those polls, it makes for good bathroom reading material for now, but that doesn't equate to any type of success. All that it does is put a bigger target on your back, and what you're going to see is these higher class teams throw their best against you, even if in a situation where you may not typically see that on a weekend game or what have you. We started with a Wheeler team that was a 21 team last year, good program. They're in a bit of a rebuilding year this year, but they're a 3A team. We play Kankakee Valley. They play in an excellent conference with Andrean. Then we went to Plymouth, always a great baseball tradition in Plymouth. We're up 13-0 on them, and our smart head coach pulls our starting pitcher to save some innings, and ends up being a 13-12 ball game. And the thing that I like is the resilience and the battle by our kids. Top of the seventh inning, we plate 4 more to extend the lead, end up winning that game 17-12 over a 4-2 4A Plymouth team. Then we add a game. We've lost 3 games this season. We add a game. I looked for an opponent that would challenge us. Okay. And the biggest thing is we could win. Our goal isn't to win every 1A game that we play, or every
Right.
2A, every game that we play on the schedule. Our game plan on a coaching staff side of things is to expose our kids, to expose them to better pitching, better competition, to let them fail forward a little bit. And one of the nice things is we played an excellent Mishawaka Marion program. They are young as well. They play in a great conference with Penn and New Prairie, and a lot of solid programs. John Glenn. Um, they're young, but they are very, very good. And the thing is, with that group, we went in and we faced a pitcher who's highly rated in the state. A mid 80s fastball guy with a very good spin rate on his off speed stuff. It was a great challenge for us. We gave up a 7 spot in the second inning. They strung together 7 or 8 base hits. We had an error that cost us a couple runs. So we're down 7-0. It would be easy to check out in that game on the road. Instead, we fight back. We end up putting up 4 on them. The rest of the game, we outscored them 4-2. We lost 9-4. But it's finding positives. We're able to get their starting pitcher, which I would consider one of the better pitchers that we may see all season long. We forced him out after the 5th inning. If we had another inning or 2 in that game, or we didn't give up a 7 spot, that's a game that we could have battled through and won. But a very, very good 3A team, private school, so there's positives to take from even your setbacks. And I think that's the message that we need to send. Saturday, we played a really gritty and well-coached New Prairie team. They had just beat Valpo the night before 6-1, a Duneland team that has had some early season success. And any time that you're playing in the Duneland Conference, you're going to see good pitching, good teams day in and day out. We find ourselves down 3-0. They threw a guy who kept us off balance. Really good game plan on their side of things. They don't make many mistakes in the field. They had a couple, we out hit them 9-5, but they had a couple little, I'll call them swinging bunts that they ended up executing and getting a couple runs across. So we're down 3-0. And then bottom of the 6th inning, we put up a 4 spot and take a 4-3 lead. And then in the 7th, a leadoff walk and a hit by pitch. Ends up with runners at 2nd and 3rd. They score 1. They have another 2nd and 3rd situation. We pull the infield in the tie ball game, and there's a bit of a hot rod shot back up the middle that scores 2. And just little breaks that sometimes you're going to get and sometimes you're not. It's a game of baseball. You can't expect to go through a season without being on the bad side of the breaks. But we didn't really create any good breaks for ourselves. And that's kind of the message that we gave the kids after the game is, understand that this game is it can be a game of inches at times.
Mhm.
And the ebbs and flows in a baseball season, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. So it's kind of riding the wave a little bit, understanding that you're not going to win every game. And our first 12 games of the season, going into the season, I said, crap, we could be we could be 5-7 and then win the rest of the way out. And now we're sitting at 4-0, and then we, okay, 4-2. We've got 5 games scheduled this week. We're supposed to play tonight, and then we Northern Indiana weather put snow on us. But it's a situation where our upcoming schedule is very difficult. We've got a rivalry game with lacrosse, Culver Military, who had a very solid program last year. This year, I think they're 3-1, 4-2, somewhere in that ballpark. We play a 6-1 Couts team. And then Saturday, we traveled to Kokomo on a neutral site to play the 2A number 2 team in the state and university, who has had state championship pedigree in the last 5 years with 2 trips to Victory Field. And then we follow up this weekend on Monday with the defending state champs in Washington Township. And then a very aggressive and very talented John Glenn team on the road. So things don't necessarily get any easier. Then we turn it back around the following week, and our conference game is against 2A Boone Grove, who has also had state championship pedigree in the last 5 years. So that's the way we designed it. That's the way that we wanted it. And I think that that's respect. Honestly, the poll, last week we were rated number 1. I think it was well-deserved. This week we took some blows on the chin to learn who we are and who we need to be, more importantly. And I think other teams see that, because we didn't lose any votes, which I was quite honestly a little bit surprised by.
Right.
But with that being said, I think there's respect to trying to go about the things the right way, to fail forward, to put yourself in a position to face better competition. Because long term, we could fill our schedule with a bunch of 1A and 2As and make it look good in the win-loss column. But what is that going to do to make an extended run in the tournament? I don't know that it benefits you there. So our challenge to these kids is, let's play some teams. We had Fairfield on the schedule. They're in the top 10 in 2A. That game ended up getting, it was too cold to play. So we're trying to find a rescheduled date for that one. But let's find out who we are and where we need to be come June. Okay. April 18th isn't a day that defines us. The days that defined us are from Memorial Day on.
Well, and I wanted to ask you here as we wrap up. You've talked a lot about some of your cancellations, and I would imagine at the beginning of the season it was nice just to get back to some kind of sense of normalcy after the last 2 years and the implications with COVID and the lost season and what have you. And as we sit here on the 18th of April, you up north and me in Indianapolis, we both have snow that we're dealing with in mid-April. How tough has it been to have the cancellations? You get going, you get in a rhythm, and then you have to start and stop. And how much did the last 2 years prepare you guys and your team for the starts and stops that come with the season?
Well, I mean, I think in any season there's always going to be change, rather it be basketball season and you have your snow days, which today down in Indy, you guys might have had a snow day, but that uh, the biggest thing is trying to keep them fresh, trying to keep them engaged. I'm always a proponent of trying to find games. I was even kind of talking a little bit crazy, thinking about adding a game Saturday morning before we travel over to Kokomo to play the number 2 team in 2A, one of the better programs in the state. But, we call them paydays. The biggest thing is that we put in all this practice, and especially the COVID year. And then last year we had some success. It took us a little time to get going and get that culture built the way that we wanted it to. Now with this season, a little bit of the start and go, it's more frustrating than anything,
Right.
just because you can't control it. But the message that we preach to the kids is control what you can control. So sometimes as an adult, you need to take that reminder and take it for what it is. But the biggest thing is try to get those kids to paydays, because they practice to play the game, and the more that we can get out and play, the better. And the biggest thing is, like I've talked about with our squad, is the thing that's hurt us with losing 3 games where we have, is it allows us to get some different pieces up, to look at some different guys on the mound, to get some less experienced guys some experience in game time. Those are the opportunities that I think are the most frustrating that we're missing out on, because we've got 33 guys in the program, and they're all working hard, battling for spots. I've got 17 sophomores in the program. So it's kind of a unique blend of kids that you try to fit in where we can. And then when we lose opportunities that we could see what, maybe a guy has worked hard and give him that payday to see what he can do in a certain spot. You got to have games to do that. So I think the nice thing is my staff does an excellent job. We do a really good job of recreating a lot of in-game situations during practice, a lot of live high leverage situations that we rep quite often. So it keeps things a little bit more in balance than, if we rolled the balls out and just took BP and called it a day. So I think it's just staying creative within your practice planning. We do a lot of classroom sessions to go over IQ stuff, situational baseball, leadership. So I think it's also bringing them back to that a little bit to keep things interesting, keep things different, so that there's no stagnancy doesn't set in.
Well, Coach, I thank you for joining us today and look forward to seeing how South Central continues to march towards victory field this season.
200 feet at a time.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Take care.
Bye.